Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we're back. And we got the Joe Orsak show going off in the corner again. So
Yes.
Welcome back, Joe.
I was, getting to flex my single phrase of Hebrew.
Yes, well, you don't often get to flex that.
Right.
How do you
Exactly.
say improve my credit in Hebrew?
Thank you, Tim. Once again, I'm unfamiliar with how to say Improve My Credit USA, my company name, which can be found at that same web address in Hebrew. But I will work on that. Shalom. Shabbat
Mazel
shalom
tov.
for all of our Jewish listeners.
So anyway, you guys are goofy as all get out. That's what I like about you.
But I digress.
Yes. We were talking about, and Tim, you might want to chime in, and of course, Carol, always feel free to chime in. Is that in some cases,
Carol, you were looking like you had a point there before the break. I don't know if you even halfway remember it.
I was just going to say that the TAR Relief Fund is not only for realtors; it's for any homeowner
Yes.
in the state of Texas.
Thank you for clarifying that.
That does the up to $2,500 in relief.
Yes, and I think they've got probably only a couple $100,000 in that till, so get to it quickly if you need it. So they're there to help, and that's part of the Texas Association of Realtors doing that. So we as an association, national, Texas, and local, have always stepped up during disaster. Always have stepped up. Jack and I were kind of talking on the break there about things being substantively damaged. Sometimes insurance companies that are choosing, do I rebuild or not rebuild? And of course, talking about if FEMA comes in and says, you know what, this is an area that's flooded 6 times, we're not doing this again. That they're suggesting that some people scrape the lots and just have it as a lot value. So so we're getting a lot of calls on that.
And it remains to be seen. Some of the areas of Meyerland have flooded several times, and until now it has not been an issue about rebuilding. But the flooding this time was so extensive that it will be very interesting to see how they move forward, because it's unprecedented, the flood that happened this time.
Yeah, the thing is, it fell out of the news. It was national news, local news, and now they're not talking about it so much. A lot of people think everything's okay now, but there's health issues out there. People are homeless, essentially, and we don't have answers for them. And I've seen Tim over there. Looks like he wants to say something.
That buyout, it's a very long legal, extensive process when you have repetitive flood properties. When it gets to the point of a federal or state level buyout, or sometimes they can. I've had customers get the notice that you have to elevate your home, and this is a home that's built slab on grade, and you get a letter in the mail saying, well, you need to raise this structure 4.5 feet, and it's.
That's not even plausible.
It's absurd. So, yeah, it's a very long and difficult process.
So we may have Lake Meyerland in the near future. Is that what you're saying?
It's a serious thing. And local representatives, I think that's where it's good at. But, particularly the work that we do with local representatives and the way that the real estate industry is tied in and knows, who the representatives are, because this becomes a federal issue, and you need to know who your representatives are, and they need to understand, and you need that access that comes from the real estate industry is priceless in a time like this, really is.
And a very human level. When you get down to the family basis, many of these homes will take months to dry out, to remediate, to rebuild. So the human need will be there for several months for a lot of people who are going to be displaced, who may or may not have family to move into, who do not have the resources to rent a hotel room. So the news moves on, but the need does not go away.
No, there are resources. You remember from Katrina, it became the dreaded FEMA trailer, but they put out a ton of those 16 or 18 foot single wide trailers because there was no place else for people to live. There were no hotel rooms. There was nowhere else to go. Yeah. And it actually allowed people in taking a situation like Meyerland, if they had and I don't think it's an if, but when those become available, they can actually put it on the person's property, so you can stay in your house on your lot in that trailer and have some semblance of normal. But
maybe we ought to go in the RV business, Joe.
Well, did you? Right? Yeah, but 2 years after Katrina, those were for sale up on 45. There were a couple of people selling them for $3,000 and $4,000. So they put out tons of them,
and several of them are thousands of them rotted up in Arkansas. They never
did.
made it to
That's
New
right.
Orleans.
And I actually read a story following on that a lot of them were transported out to Arizona and the far west on Indian reservations where there was a severe shortage of housing, and these people were like, yeah, okay, we'd love to have it. So they moved them out there, but then there were those issues of some of the countertops, and there were formaldehyde fumes, and there was all kinds of so it's just no good deed ever goes unpunished. But it's interesting to see how this all unfolds from a disaster to a relief effort to providing temporary trailers to making it all the way out to temporary housing on far west Indian reservations. It's fascinating.
And we feel moving forward that many of the people who live in Southwest Houston in areas that have been impacted by the flood, who will resolve not to have to go through this again, will force them to consider areas that have great schools, which Southwest Houston does have, in Bel Air and other areas that have not flooded. So there will always be opportunities for them to stay in the area in great neighborhoods. And that's one of the great things about our market area where we have been for many years. It does offer some of the best schools to be found in Houston, centrally located within 15 minutes of the Texas Medical Center, which is the largest employer in Houston. And those areas are within 15 minutes of the Texas Medical Center. So there are options.
Yeah.
And moving forward, those areas will be very, very high demand.
And, of course, the areas that sometimes there were buyouts and things like that, their properties are substantially less valuable. When you get to Meyerland, what's the going price in Meyerland now? Maybe give me a range.
Well, it's the closed sales this year have been over $200 per square foot.
Wow.
In Meyerland. When you go into Bel Air and Westview, of course, it's more expensive. But again, great schools. They're municipalities that have their own police and fire departments. Wonderful schools, wonderful amenities, and in many of these, they've never flooded. So. Location will always have value, and being in the middle of town where you do not have to access freeways to drive for extended periods will always have demand.
Well, yeah, you'd be close to where you work. Of course, that's why the Woodlands is doing well, because people are living and working out there. So, and again, Carol, you weren't that impacted, but it actually does impact you in the long run, because a lot of people that live in the Woodlands work in Houston. And so it has impacted everybody.
Yeah, a lot of people get on that freeway or Hardy Tow Road every morning and go back and forth, and it does definitely have an impact, and it affects our economy as a whole. And yes, it'd be nice just to move into a hotel, have the bed made every day, but honestly, that's not feasible for people who've lost their home right now, and they need to be at the house working during the day to clean things out, and they also need to be going to their jobs. So they're torn in a lot of directions right now. It's very sad.
Like I said, long after the disaster, that the results linger. So I don't know. My heart goes out to everybody that's going to just displace all that. Joe, you look like you're over there perking with a comment.
Oh, you were talking about. It's touching a personal button for me with just drive stuff, and it's funny how much that does impact decisions and all that sort of thing, and what makes an area higher demand. We're looking at expanding our offices, and that's been a frequent part of the conversation. Is if we move here, drive time.
Right.
What's the deal with driving?
And that's why Meyerland has enjoyed such growth. I mean, not growth in value.
Yeah.
Is because it's access, and of course, good access to downtown too.
Yeah.
Not just the medical center. It's just a great location, and just devastating. It's facing this kind of stuff.
Yeah. I've gotten spoiled with literally crossing over 1960 to get to my office, so I'm like, I really don't want to move that far. I'm getting old and lazy about my driving.
Think of the good of the company.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Not happening. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, yeah, we found a place out in the Atascocita, and I tell you what, that area out there, Eagle Springs and all that, just exploded so fast.
A lot of new construction going
that
up there.
1960 just couldn't deal with it, and the traffic is really, really pretty intense during the prime times of driving. But if we move out there, at least I'm going against traffic going out, and then at the end of the day, I'm coming back into Humble against traffic the opposite way. So not so bad.
But that's often a choice why people choose where they're going to go to. So
it's definitely part of the
So we're kind of coming up in our lightning round area, and so
down to the last few seconds here.
Not a few seconds. We got about 2 or 3 minutes here left. But Jack and Gene, we always like to allow people to leave what you want to leave people with, what message you want to leave them with. So whoever would like to speak. Oh, I see that neither one of them are talking.
Yeah, and we're including you, Carol, by the way.
So we're going to get up to Carol here in a moment. So what do you want people to know about you or Meyerland or the areas that you work?
We have worked
Dead
these
air.
areas. No, we have worked the Southwest Houston Braeswood corridor area for many, many years, and we believe in the area. The flood is a temporary thing. The larger Southwest area has wonderful amenities, easy transportation, great shopping, and is affordable. So if we can help you, we would love to. 713-291-3286. My phone, Gene's, 832-646-4900. And Gene at theshabotteam.com or Jack at theshabotteam.com. We would love to help you.
Well, I'm so glad you could make it join us today because you had such great information that we needed to get out there. So, and Carol.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me. I do live in the Woodlands and work that area as well as the northern quadrant.
That's easy for you to say.
Yes, hello.
That's why she was a math teacher.
And but I would love to sit down and talk to you about getting your home on the market if that's what you want to do, or helping you purchase one. I love working with first-time buyers. My cell phone is 713-253-7812. And I'm Carol at thehometownteam.com.
So, and Tim, you want to leave everyone with anything? And Dave's over there been over quiet.
RatPackAgent.com. That's it. RatPackAgent.com.
Dave, you're sitting in the corner. I don't think you've said anything all day.
I'm with Capital Title.
and that's it. So, Joe, you've got something to leave the listeners with today.
We must build dikes of courage to hold back the flood of fear. Martin Luther King Jr.
Wow.
Quote of the day.
That is awesome.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Best thoughts of the day. Anyway, my thought is that I enjoyed our guests coming on here. I think we got some great information. And so I thank you all for being here. And
thank you for
we will
inviting
see
us,
you.
Rob.
We won't see you next week, Joe.
Yes, that's right. Now we're going to have our 23-day, or 23, I already blew it, 6-day, 23-hour break. See y'all.
We're out of here.
And you've been listening to the Real Estate Rat Pack. The question is, who's Frank, who's Sammy, who's Dean, and who's the other guy?
Chris is Frank,
I'm
he's
Dean.
Dean, and I'm Sammy.
Yes, right. Yeah.
So tune in to the really big show every Saturday at 9 a.m. right here on 100.7 The Word, KKHT.